We're going to begin with this, of course. The first public hearing in the House impeachment inquiry against President Trump is fast approaching. In just a short time, lawmakers, witnesses, and the public will pack this room for the hearing. President Trump, as you know, is accused of withholding military aid to Ukraine in exchange for Ukraine investigating the Democrats.
This morning, we'll hear from Bill Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine. He has testified in private that U.S. aid was tied to Ukraine investigating the president's political foes. Taylor will be joined by Deputy Assistant Secretary of State George Kent. His closed-door testimony backed up Taylor's claim of a quid pro quo. The hearings will continue on Friday with former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. She has testified that she believed Rudy Giuliani, the president's personal attorney, worked to have her removed because she opposed any investigations by Ukraine. President Trump denies he did anything wrong in his dealings with Ukraine at all.
60 Minutes correspondent John Dickerson is here to help put today's historic events in context. John, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony.
Bill Taylor, George Kent, Marie Yovanovitch, they're not household names. Why does the House begin here?
You know, it's a good point. It's in part because they're not household names. They are, the Democrats hope, just the facts ma'am witnesses. They are people who are going to lay out and kind of tick the box on that original whistleblower report, which alleged a certain number of things, and they will, the Democrats hope, check off those boxes. Democrats also hope to build a structure so that people understand additional facts that come in. In other words, a story that they will try and lay out and say, these facts fit along this storyline. Republicans will try to do two things: untick the checks from those boxes and also build their own narrative and say everything you additionally hear fits into our narrative, not the Democrats' narrative.
You know, this all started with the whistleblower, and the administration keeps calling for the whistleblower to come forward, to be brought forward. Do we really need the whistleblower now that you've had apparently so many people corroborate the story?
Well, the whistleblower said person X
started, yeah.
Person X, Y, and Z. And it's important to know that the whistleblower started this all because the whistleblower followed the traditional channels. What happened here at Basic, in the center of this, is a number of people who are used to having things operate one way, saw things operating another way, and used the channels to try to figure out what was going on. The question of the whistleblower, did the whistleblower say things that are true or not true? Well, now you have the people who actually did and said and believed those things testifying. So they are closer to the truth of things than the whistleblower was. Republicans, of course, want to focus on the whistleblower because they want to undermine the facts of the case. That's not a surprise strategy. We've seen that a lot.
Speaking of non-household names, the format is going to be a little different today, as we understand it. It's not going to be lawmakers asking a lot of the questions, but rather lawyers working for those lawmakers asking the questions. Why?
The effort is to try to get to the facts, build the facts of this case, to take some of the drama out of this, make it Democrats are on trial here, too. They have to run. They've been talking about norms being shredded in American life. Well, they have a chance to maintain the norms of how you go through the facts of the case, present them for the American people, and then get out of the way. They can't be seen as people who have got a huge thumb on the scale. And one of the ways you do that is through running a process that is as clean as possible in terms of just laying out the facts of the case and letting the people decide.
How are Republicans planning to defend the president? I mean, you heard them complaining about the process to begin with. They were complaining they weren't getting witnesses. They now have 3. So where do they go in here?
Well, basically what they want to do is undermine the process. They want to attack the facts where they can. And if they can't attack the facts where they can, they want to undermine the process and say, but there's a challenge for Republicans because you're getting different kinds of responses. One person says what the president said on the phone call and his policy, there's nothing wrong with it. Other people say, well, it's wrong, but it's not impeachable. Yeah. Well, those are two odd things. One person says it had nothing to do with the Bidens. Other people say, let's call the Bidens as witnesses. If you can't get your story straight after a month, that creates some possible tensions. Yeah. So that they'll have to work out as multiple people are shooting at this information, including from the White House.
Well, there were also apparently some concerns within Republicans that if you say it's bad but not impeachable, there's a slippery slope there that you could trip and end up down at impeachable.
Well, right, because when you say it's bad but not impeachable, you're signing up for a whole other group of things because the president said, I didn't do anything wrong. So if you believe he did do something wrong and he says he didn't do anything wrong, then implicit in your belief is that he's now lying. Well, so what happens when the president lies? Is that bad but not impeachable? And then there are all these things being done to defend the president. Are those bad but not impeachable? You get into a kind of a long list if you take that bad but not impeachable position.
We were always raised, all of us raised, lying is not good under any circumstances. But let's talk about Hillary Clinton. You know, she's raising some eyebrows because of something she said on the BBC yesterday. For those of you who haven't heard, we'll play that first, then get John's reaction.
Look, as I say, never say never. And I will certainly tell you I'm under enormous pressure from many, many, many people to think about it. But as of this moment, sitting here in this studio talking to you, that is absolutely not in my plans.
But she is letting us know that she's under enormous pressure. What do you make of her putting that out there?
I mean, if you don't want to run, you say, I'm not running.
Yeah.
You don't say that second sentence. So, traditionally, the way to respond, I haven't talked to Hillary Clinton or her people, but traditionally, what that would make you think is somebody wants to say out loud, Hillary Clinton, please run.
Quickly, John, what does it say that you've got Deval, Patrick, Bloomberg, and Hillary now talking about running?
Yeah, I mean, polls show that Democrats are happy with the field, but what it says is that a lot of people who have money and a lot of people who think, hey, I can be president, which is a huge group of people, think, well, I can throw my hat in the ring. So it means that the race is unstable, but races are always unstable at this point. So
We'll see.
We'll see.
And it's still a long way to go,
will tell.
too.
All right, John, thank you very much. John Dickerson. CBS News will bring you complete coverage of the first public hearings in the impeachment inquiry. We expect this morning's session to begin at 10:09 Central. Norah O'Donnell will anchor special reports from Washington this morning and on Friday here on CBS. You can also find continuous coverage on our streaming network, CBSN. Download the free CBS News app on your mobile or connected device.